Finally, the moment is here. World's competitors, after 2 weeks of prep, have submitted their lineups. Today, we're gonna look at what they have submitted and what meta we can expect. So let's look at it. Out of 64 competitors, there are 43 unique lineups, with the most broad, the level 1 lineup, as I would call it, is being Nura Elder Dragon, Morgana Mordekaiser. Actually, this combo of Morgana Mordekaiser and Nura Elder was brought 27 times in this tournament. And then the last deck usually being something like Karma set, Seraphine set, or, for example, the classic, the 2023 Juggernaut Jigsaw. And that's usually the lineup that was the most broad. Of course, there are some different lineups that we're gonna look at a little bit later, but this is the most expected field. Honestly, I'm not really surprised by it. I think especially Noah Elder and Murmur, the guys were very, very dominant. And if you look at it in the deck stats, that's the most too broad. No surprises here. Actually, Blairot made an amazing graphic where he just put the same decks together. So we can see that Noah Elder Dragon was brought 42 times. Mordekaiser Demacia 36 times. As said, no surprises here. Karma set being 21 times. Ionia Seraphine 14 times. I would kind of put them together because I think a lot of people were thinking about what they want to play. A lot of people pivoted to Seraphine in the last second, I think, because the Seraphine version does a little bit better into the Mordekaiser Demacia. So that was maybe a little bit more selling point. Jackson being brought 13 times. I think a little bit less than I expected, but I think a lot of people get just scared of it because it was so expected deck. So I'm not that much surprised in the end, but still quite a lot of showing. It's a deck that it just defines the 2023 competitive scene. So it's kind of cool to see it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it makes fair. A lot of tournament favorites are actually on the deck, so we're gonna see. Pearls being brought a lot of times. I saw some Reddit posts being like surprised so much about it. I'm not surprised at all. It's such an amazing meta call into things like set PNZ, because how good that matchup is and how powerful Pearls tend to sometimes just be. That's been overall the meta. Of course, there's a lot of one-offs, a lot of two-offs that we just cannot cover all of them. We're gonna cover them a little bit later, but I want to also point out two decks that I think was pretty good meta call, and props to the people that brought it. I think Physiume, pretty good call into things like exactly the set PNC, into things like Mordekaiser Morgana. So I quite like this deck. As well, Gnau Nico, I think also being pretty good call. So that's two decks that I would definitely watch out for because I think they can do fairly well. Who's played champion is Elder Dragon, even though he's kind of cheating because a lot of decks, especially the Bundle City ones, are using him only for his boons and play him as a one-off. So, it's kind of a bit cheating. He's actually not the most played, but, only 7 people don't have him in his lineup. So that's kind of crazy, to be honest. Morgana being the second most world champion, third is Nura, and fourth is Mordekaiser. It's crazy to see that all 3 new champions are in top 4 of the most played champion. It's something, big difference from the last year was when we had Atox, Scale, and Thrice expansion, and we saw only Atox at Worlds, Big props to Riot to making, such a shakeup in the meta for the World Championship. Crazy fact, most played card in this World Championship is Pythos. Of course, it makes sense when you think about it because Bundle City is very powerful because of Nura, but also Pythos is really broad because of the most broad follower in this tournament, and that's Lord Broadman. Lord Broadman is just so powerful, and of course, utilizes the Pythos so well. The most broad new champion is Morgana, and as mentioned, because there's a lot of one-offs, even though Elder Dragon shows up in 57 unique lineup, he only sees 73 copies being played of him. If we look at the most broad regions, we can see that it's Runeterra. It makes sense because of the Elder Dragon, Perking, and Jax. Also, the classic doing pretty well. Demas is having big rise from the last chance qualifier that happened like 2 weeks ago. Of course, thanks to the Morgana addition. But the big fall downs are from Ferret that had actually 65 decks. And the second big fall down is from Noxus that had 31 decks in last chance qualifier, but has currently only 3. Noxus fall might be kind of weird, but when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. It's mostly because of Frostbitter's currently in Elder Dragon region, because, we went into Noxus mostly for the Frostbitter, and now we can play him outside of the Noxus, so that's, of course, one big thing. And secondly, I would say it's also because the current meta decks just do well with the might all-ins. And, for example, the Morgana event, a deck that was really dominated like a week ago, it just doesn't do well into the current top dogs. So it just makes sense in the end. We already mentioned some level 1 lineup. Now we're gonna cover like how level 2 lineup look like. This is first one is second lineup. He got the read right, he got the meta read right. And if he's gonna meet the level 1 only, he can do very well with this lineup. The lineup is Perking Yume, Nico Gnar, and Shivana Elder Dragon. I said, gonna do very amazing get to level 1. If he meets something different, then he might be in some trouble though. But as we could have seen, there's so many people playing the level 1 lineup. So definitely a very good lineup. Big fan of it. The another level 2 lineup that I would call is the J1 lineup. Also, a lot of other Apex people brought it. It's Seraphine Karma set, Face Yume, and Perking. The same goes for J1. Also, if he's gonna beat level 1 lineups, he can do very well. If he meets something different, it can get a little bit weird for him, but overall, big fan of this lineup as well. In the end, it wouldn't be worse if some people weren't cooking. First person being Timeline playing this male birthday grave with some monument. I don't know what's going on here. He plays some monument and Lord of Dust, but I believe in him. He surely got a lot of practice on it, and I guess he believes in this deck. And I wouldn't be maybe surprised if this deck, for example, does well into the set PNC. It's definitely possible. And second deck that also definitely caught my eye. It's actually brought by two people. It's by Key and ZFC, and that's Akshan Maokai Mordekaiser. Another mill deck, another Battle Grave deck. And once again, another Merku game. And also, very excited to see this in action. Yeah, that is the meta. Hopefully, you're gonna all enjoy the worlds that are starting 4 PM CET. I'm gonna be watch partying, but I might start a little bit later today because of some unit things. But no matter what, if you're watching at my stream, if you're watching at official, or if somebody else stream, hopefully you're gonna enjoy the worlds. And see you in the next video.